Welcome to Drinks Coach. Another fine sunny afternoon doing one for you. I don't think you can see on the screen up there, it says Drinks Coach at Drinks Coach UK. We're trying something different today. You might have seen it's a slightly different frame up. We've bought a professional mic, which unfortunately we can't control using the normal camera software on my iPhone. So I'm using the Shaw's video software for recording rock gigs. New device, shout out to them, Matt Mannery out there. I'm going to come and record one of your gigs on this phone very soon. The Drinks Coach UK. Today we're doing fancy Californian wines. I think that people out there probably haven't drunk many expensive wines. I mean, really expensive wines, £50 wines from France or Spain or Australia, but least likely probably from California. There's a lot of hoo-ha about that. I think people think because wines in California are drunk by Americans who are very proud of the wines they produce, Californian wines tend to cost a lot of money. I mean, $30 is what you pay for a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. I mean, okay, the land's expensive, but they cost like £1 to make. I mean, it's just a thing. But when you get down to it and look at what California can really do, it does some things quite extraordinarily well. So without further ado, I mean, we're already a minute and a half into my video and I've got a lot to talk about with these wines. What I've done is I've chosen 3 special wines from California, all the same owner actually, but I wanted to just show how good some of these wines are and to show the styles you'd expect. So number 1, it says here, Dry Creek Valley, Sonoma. This is the heart of the Sonoma Valley. If you drive north out of San Francisco into the fine winelands of California, there are lots of vineyards south, but if you go into the north where the really famous vineyards are, you've got a valley on the left that's inland, on the right, which is Napa. Then you've got the Montelina Hills. Then you've got the Sonoma Valley and the Sonoma Coast. Sonoma is twice the size of Napa, but Napa's really where it's at, where it's been, where it all started. These are very warm wine regions, let me tell you. Warmity warm. I mean, at least as warm as Tuscany. Don't think of them as a Bordeaux alternative. They're more New World than that. Warmer than most of Australia. But they have this wonderful climatic conditions that allow them to produce very good wine. And we're starting off with this, which in some ways is the most Californian of these wines because it's a wine that's only really known for coming from there. This is Rancho Zabaco, which I believe means raging or dancing bull. And it's made from a grape variety called Zinfandel. Now, Zinfandel is a grape variety that for years it was sold just as a cheap off-dry rosé pop because it was drunk as a red wine before that. But a lot of the vineyards in California only really started very, very earliest at the end of Prohibition because, of course, it was illegal to drink in the early 30s in America. And in 1933, when the Prohibition finished, a lot of estates opened up and they've been making wine since. So it's nearly 100 years now. So they do have it on, they do have a bit of a gain on, let's say, most of the Australian wine regions and vineyards, although some Australian vineyards are also quite old. But this is made from Zinfandel. Zinfandel is a grape variety that actually originated in Dalmatia and is made from, I can never remember the name of how you spell it, Cornerstone Castellansky, which is a variety which is originally Zinfandel. And it was then planted in southern Italy as Primitivo, or more specifically, Primitivo de Manduria. So when you buy your Primitivo from Italy, great value if you like your big, juicy, really fruity wines, that is Zinfandel, in fact. And it was brought over to California by Franciscan monks, early 1800s, 1811, 1821, around that time. That's when wine growing in California started. So, what's so special about Zinfandel? I don't know. I'm not one for big, juicy, massively oaky wines, and there'll be a lot of people watching this who are. But there are some where I just can't fail to enjoy them. This wine has also got lots of bottle age on it. It's 2014, which was a tippity top vintage, great vintage in California. It's probably been aged in lots of American and French oak, blah blah blah, and it's all stitched in now. But that wine smells so juicy and, yes, jammy, but like red licorice. You remember those bootstraps that you eat as a kid? I could just eat meters of that stuff. Red licorice, it reminds me of. and wonderful jamminess. Also, as a child, Mum, if I was poorly, gave me something which is very Swedish called Nippon soppa. A Nippon is rose hip, and I don't know if you've ever had rose hip cordial or smell rose hips, but has this tangy. When you smell it, it almost makes your mouth salivate. There's a full of vitamin C. It's very good. That's why we drank it when we were poorly. Hot Nippon soppa. When you taste it, there's a suede leatheriness about it. Yeah, tangy, savoury, spicy. There's a hint of that nice smell that you get from a beautiful polished table. It smells very sort of like a nice old room. I don't know. Lovely wine, full of jam, full of flavour. But there you go. That's Californians in. This is from Sonoma and Dry Creek, which is one of the absolute hotspots for making it. Just north of there also, there's the very famous Ridge Vineyards, Santa Cruz, from Paul Draper, who probably defined the style, really. Now, this wine, look at the size of this. This is 2016 wine from a really crazy producer called Orin Swift. This wine is from 2016. I just take a look at that. The bottle, I could kill you with it. The wine is so dark. And one of the grape varieties which they normally add to Zinfandel because they balance each other out, another variety was planted there a long time ago, is a variety called Petite Sirah. And Petite Sirah, Syrah sounds like Syrah as in Shiraz, but it's spelled S-I-R-A-H, not S-Y-R-A-H, as a point of difference so that you know that it's not the same variety. Petite Sirah actually is a Portuguese variety called de Rif. There's a lot of confusion in the wine industry. It's only now that we've got genetic coding and we're able to DNA test for things that we can realise that we can find out that a lot of things we thought were true weren't. And so this is something we've discovered latterly. But this wine is famous for being a beast of a wine. And this is a beast. Wine does not get bigger than this. It's called Machete or Machete. And Machete, 2016, is, I think I was right in reading, I think it's 15.8 or 16.2% alcohol, something like that. But it's nearly 16% alcohol. It's, wow, eye-watering, nose-bleedingly alcoholic. So when I smell this wine, what am I expecting from this? Is this wine going to be too much? I like a glass of port, but you know, it's a warmish day. Unbelievably, that wine has perfect balance. It's been mixed, I believe, with Syrah and Grenache. Grenache is a grape variety, very soft from southern Rhone. Gives it a sweet raspberry-ish veneer. Beautiful and jammy and juicy. Oh, wow. So we had Zinfandel, which is essentially an Italian/Dalmatian variety. Let's call it a Venetian variety, because Dalmatian was part of Venice back in the day. And then we've got Machete with this crazy label. Very sassy lady sitting on an American car with a massive sharp knife. Not sure what the message is. Oh, by the way, one thing that people who love wine don't like is putting wax on the top of bottles. We can hate it. This has got one of those wax tops, and I nearly ruined the corkscrew trying to hack it off, and I've got a knife which has got a chip out of it now. Nobody thinks it's clever. Anybody in the universe, ask anybody who buys wine, do you think we should wax tip the top? We all say 1,000 out of 1,000, no. So don't do it. Just put a foil on it like anyone else. The bottle's pretty impressive as it is. It didn't need to be dipped in bulletproof wax. Okay, so we're going on to the last wine. And this is probably the most classic place, the most classic style, the most classic wine of California. This is Cabernet Sauvignon from the Napa Valley. This is from Louis M. Martini estate, which started just as the Prohibition finished in 1933. So it's about as old as any of them. If you go back to the very, the real pioneers like Bewley Vineyards, Andrei Chelistchev, Rob Mondavi, this is that old. I mean, it's one of the pioneers. And it's from the Napa Valley, which is kind of a beautiful, warm valley full of the most amazing produce, most incredible basil and incredible fruit and melons and tomatoes are incredible. Lovely place. This is also from the rocking 2014 vintage. And I've tried this wine before. I'm very excited about trying it again. If you're looking at prices here, the first one's probably around the £20 mark, I think, Rancho Zabaco, maybe a bit more, 25 maybe. Then Machete, not much change out of £60, I'm afraid, but we're talking California here. You go big if you're California. If you can't go big, go home. And the last one, this is the Napa Valley. They make two Cabernets, premium Cabernets, a Sonoma Valley one and a Napa. That's really good wine. Wow, the aftertaste. If you're not sure if a wine's great, let the wine sit in your mouth, swallow it, and just think about what's left behind. That wine has the classic flavour of Cabernet Sauvignon. If you don't know what that is, it's red and black fruits, it's mulberries, it's black currants, but in a creamy compote, in a cassis style. You can almost put that into white wine and make a kir out of it. It has a wonderful undertow of slightly dusty dried leaf and dried thyme spice, which pulls back from the red wine being jammy. I imagine this is a beast as well. Yeah, 15.5% alcohol. Again, these wines are enormous. They're gigantic. Wow, what can I say? 3 wines that really define what Californian reds are about. The original variety was in, which was made as a rubbish rosé for years, and now it's back in the game. Petite Sirah, probably the oldest variety in California, made using a modern outlook. Just a gigantic wine, probably the biggest red wine I've tasted in 2 years. And then we've got Louis Martini's Napa Cabernet, stunning. I'm guessing that's about £40, but that's £40 well spent. Buy a bottle of champagne, buy a bottle of Lanson champagne or Veuve Clicquot, that's going to cost you £40, £50, even if it's an offer. That is 20 times the wine, in my opinion. You get so much more for your bang. And there you go. See you next time.